Hello everyone and welcome to Inside Games, the only gaming news channel brave enough to soar the skies to play another Ace Combat. We got to play Ace Combat 8, or specifically I did. Bruce is here though to be a willing participant, I guess. Someone who's willing to endure me ranting about this game and all the cool stuff within. So Bruce, good to see you. Just off the top, I'm curious, what are you curious about with Ace Combat in general, or maybe specifically Ace Combat 8?
So much, Lawrence, because I know you're a huge Ace Combat fan and you have been for so long. And whenever I see the game, it looks awesome, right? It looks like a jet flying around shooting stuff. But I'm so interested to find out why you like the Ace Combat franchise. So tell me where you start, at least, with the Ace Combat franchise. Like, you've been playing it since the very beginning?
It's not really, no. I only really caught up with it a couple of years ago. I just decided to play through the whole franchise because it's one that I was kind of ignorant of. I always knew it was there. I knew it had a following. Had no idea how big it was, but yeah, it's one of the franchises that's been running for quite a long time at this point. It's kind of hard to describe because at its core, I think is just pure military wank. It's that planes are cool, military shit's cool, and it kind of leans into that with its score. But then there's this weird dash. Every Ace Combat has kind of a different take on how it approaches narrative. And the narratives can span the gamut. They can sometimes be campy and weird. A lot of the times they're not very, fully formed. So since you play as a pilot, you really only fly these sorties, you fly missions that are part of this larger campaign. And you really only get your perspective of what's going on with these conflicts that happen in this fictional world called Strange Real. So there's these falsified nations that are just basically constantly at war. I think you might find people that make allusions to Ace Combat to something like Metal Gear, because Metal Gear also kind of lives in this reality of the military-industrial complex taking over everything, and also kind of making the point that that's actually kind of cool if you're just an awesome military dude with loads of cool gadgets and hardware. But then it also tries to take this very melodramatic and serious lens on the suffering and real-world destruction that causes. So yeah, it's kind of two-tone, and this game is exactly the same. So the way you play it, basically, the gameplay itself is almost like a Dynasty Warriors in the skies. You're in the world's most overpowered aircraft. You have hundreds of missiles. You have never-ending guns. You can do these impossible maneuvers. The gameplay itself, though, is more about prioritizing targets and effectively killing things quickly. It's about loading up your plane with the right weapons for the mission, and then landing your shots and doing so in the right order to successfully navigate the missions, which will have these narrative events pop up. And then it gets wacky. It gets wackier too. Giant planes, massive battle tanks. I think you saw that in one of the trailers. So there's elements, there's surprises, there's mid-mission disruptions. And this game actually has some special sauce with the narrative too, which is kind of interesting.
All right, so let me back up, because with Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid took me years to get into. And Metal Gear Solid's narrative is ridiculous. Everyone knows it is. It's insane. It kind of doesn't make sense. It kind of does, whatever. Ace Combat sounds the same way. I don't give a shit about the narrative. Doesn't matter to me at all. Let's say I'm brand new to Ace Combat. Metal Gear Solid's gameplay, let's say 5, right? Metal Gear Solid 5 has some of the best stealth gameplay ever. Narrative doesn't matter. Let's just throw it out. But the gameplay is unbelievable. So, make the same comparison with Ace Combat. Why am I jumping into Ace Combat? The narrative be damned. What makes the gameplay so amazing, so addictive?
It's pretty simple, but also pretty satisfying. Just the aspect of being in a cloud of fighters, turning toward the one you want to shoot, getting a lock on, firing a missile. You get the clunk of the missile taking off, the shoosh, and you see it go, and then it explodes all cool. And then there's radio chatter Fox 2, target down, just constantly in your ear. It can actually be a little overwhelming for people who aren't used to it. But yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at. It's almost like Borderline Gundam, where it's just ridiculous levels of stimulus while you're playing, but all kind of formed around the very premise that jets are fucking cool, and seeing jets do jet stuff is the coolest thing ever.
Jets are fucking cool, by the way. I love jets. And in another life, I would have been an Air Force pilot, absolutely, because I love that stuff. So, and I played other Ace Combats very briefly. I played an hour or two of whatever, 7 and 6, and the main lines, and it just didn't hook me. And I wanted it to hook me because I love jets. And so that's kind of why I'm looking for the hook from Ace Combat 8, and you seem the most excited about Ace Combat 8 that maybe I've seen you of a game in recent memory.
Yeah, and I'm more excited now. I don't think there's any one mechanic that'll just be oh, this is the thing. If flying a plane around and blowing up targets is the core of that. If that doesn't necessarily work for you, then I'm not sure that the game will, because yeah, that's its most fundamental joy. But this game, I think, has got some secret sauce, and maybe some of that stuff will entice you. You said you don't care about narrative, but you also asked about ghosts during the trailer. I'm not sure where you got that notion, because it was a complete surprise for me, because yes, this game has canon ghosts, or at least one. There is something supernatural about this one. The other games get supernatural kind of in the way, again, that Metal Gear can, where people get weirdly spiritual and metaphysical, and you can like hear the disembodied voice of someone else, something like that. This is much more literal. So when the game starts, gosh, I'm trying to think of where to start here. So there's a couple of different levels. The political nature of it is that you are a pilot for the Federation of Central Usea, USEA, and it's basically a country that's completely lost to war already. You're operating out of the last functioning aircraft carrier. There are no other air bases, so it's just this ship basically is all that's left of the country, or its functioning military. And then in one of the first missions, you get shot down, and you happen to get shot down with somebody that then lives in your head as a ghost. Some weird transference of spirits happen after the plane crashes, and you get rescued, but the poor guy doesn't. Turns out that guy was supposedly the Wings of Thieves. He was this legendary pilot that is actually a fictionalized story made up by somebody manipulating information on the internet. They basically drummed up this persona for somebody to inspire the people and give hope to the people of the FCU. But in reality, they were just a kind of a figurehead, and as such, they actually ran away from every engagement. Their goal was just to survive. So you step into this role then, who not only do you have the old guy's ghost in your brain, but then you get assigned to this role from the information broker that basically is manipulating this profile. But the fun thing is, when you step into these shoes, then you're a feral video game protagonist. So you actually do go around blowing everything up. So there's this fun dynamic where people are like, oh, it's the Wings of Thieves, they'll just run away. And then everything starts exploding, and you get to hear people kind of react to that over the radio and stuff. And similarly, the wing that you get placed into is kind of like half civilian. They're also not used to doing actual combat missions. So having them kind of adapt to that, and having a leader that actually shoots at things is also interesting too. So there's a couple of interesting hooks there, I think. One is the total underdog aspect of the story, that you're basically this like last functioning flotilla for an entire country. And then, yeah, you have this weirdly poetic kind of like warrior poet in your brain who constantly muses about not only being a ghost in the first place, but like what they're seeing and their life. And they'll talk about feeling the spirits of other pilots move to the other side and how they're not trapped like he is. So it adds a lot of humor weirdly into the radio chatter when you hear like, yeah, all this mill chatter over the radio, and then suddenly some voice comes out of nowhere being like, it's a pain in the ass being a ghost. It's like you're always in a daze. Meanwhile, you're like corkscrewing and blowing up these like oil tankers and massive ships and stuff. So that's kind of the premise. I think in totality, maybe that's the tonal ridiculousness of a game like this. But it's got some more stuff. It's got some more things. So I don't know. Is anything in there hooking you at all?
I mean, the underdog aspect does hook me, actually. That sounds really exciting, that like people are underestimating you, and they're all of a sudden, like, they're like, whatever, he's no big deal. And then all of a sudden he's blowing everything up. That sounds awesome, because that means you're going to be fully overpowered. And I'm looking forward to being fully overpowered in a video game. I love that. This game also doesn't seem hard. Would you say the game is hard, or is it?
Not yes and no. It's kind of tough. You can die quickly if you're not, like, there are some missions where if you're just not prepared for what's going to happen, you can lose because of like mission objective reasons, or because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, or because you brought in the wrong equipment. It's I actually was talking with some people at the event, and some people were saying like kind of reminds them of Armored Core. And very much like Armored Core 6, sometimes you would just roll into a mission with the wrong loadout. And there's no way to know that before you actually play the mission. So sometimes, like, if it's a bombing heavy mission and you only come in with air-to-air missiles, then you're stuck with maybe just using the guns on the ground targets, and you just won't finish in time, or it takes you too long and you get shot down by other pilots. So there's kind of a feeling out phase there. But I do agree. I think it's much more focused on delivering the thrills of just blowing up tons of planes. So it's tuned more for that, I think, especially, well, in the early part I played. Some people were struggling with some of the missions, but yeah, I think by and large it's meant to be more fun and ease of access than to just like be a plain sim or anything like that.
I've been watching the gameplay while we've been doing this, and it looks more photorealistic than other Ace Combats. Am I wrong? Because like I feel like other Ace Combats have seemed really kind of ethereal and maybe like just not exactly real, but this really does seem like you are a pilot in a jet shooting like down thousands of targets, which it looks awesome.
Yeah, I agree. The visuals of this game are pretty outrageous. I think the biggest gain is in the clouds. It's kind of an important part of a flight game. But yeah, the clouds look ridiculous. They're so fluffy and beautiful and high resolution. And what's wacky to me, something that feels new to me, is like there will be multiple types of clouds kind of in the same scene. So you'll get like wispy clouds lower, going up. You get the big chunky, I guess, cumulonimbus clouds. And they have like much more irregular formations too. You get to fly around these giant columns of sort of intersnaking clouds. And it just looks gorgeous. Yeah, the ground is super high resolution. I use cockpit view a lot because I thought the way that the light played off the interior of the cockpit when you're flying around is amazing. You even see like ray traced reflections of your instrument panel in the cockpit as the sun's bouncing off that. So yeah, nearly every little like photoreal thing your eyes might try to look for, they by and large find. It looks amazing, and I think that's that plus the music. It kind of has this audiovisual feast. It's got the gameplay hook of just the adrenaline of blowing a lot of stuff up in a very fast jet. It looks amazing. It was already very smooth, and I think they've still got a few months to go to release. But then the music is also this sort of like Juno reactor-y kind of synth with a pulsing drum beat, and I even picked up some eclectic music or instrumentation in there. There were some flamenco guitars occasionally that kind of reminded me of Ace Combat Zero. So that's a fun mix. So yeah, I think that combo makes it a very kind of entrancing game.
Yeah, the way you're talking about this, it sounds like Metal Gear Solid in the sky. That's like and that really actually does help me a lot, because Ace Combat I just could never figure out why people played it. I was always like, I could play this for an hour or two and be like, okay, got it. But the more that you describe it, the more I'm like, okay, I think I understand now what foot to go off of when I'm going to jump into Ace Combat for more than a 2-hour experience.
Yeah, I think narratively, actually, this game does a much better job of kind of pinning to some degree who you are as the player and what their context is in the world or the conflict. A lot of the times, Ace Combat fans, I'm sure, will dispute me on this, but having played them, I feel a lot of the times the narratives are very floaty. It's interesting you describe the visuals as being sort of kind of ethereal, because to me that's what the narratives always end up being. They're just kind of these disconnected beats that you have visibility on. Sometimes you get like disconnected beats from another person's perspective, and maybe if you do a lot of wiki diving and cross-referencing of like locations and timelines, you can start to get sort of a flow of events. But yeah, I kind of viewed them more as like these poetic moments in time. Which is, I feel like a very Metal Gear thing as well. But this, at least, like you have a much more rooted character. You have a ghost in your head, and then you have a wing of pretty well formed out characters that are all pretty unique themselves. So you have this narrative unit of characters that have fairly understandable interactions with each other. And then you have a progression of missions that also has a very understandable like reclaiming of territory as you're playing missions. And then the mega swerves happen, surprises happen. You saw the giant land tank that was in the trailer. So, these giant super weapons will just appear out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, this is the biggest problem. And then that plays into the mission structures too. I feel like each mission kind of is perceptually different. Whereas other Ace Combats, it was like, you're starting out flying, go blow up everything and come back. Whereas this is like, there was a mission where it starts in these huge cloud formations and you have to track these flights by their contrails and actually follow the contrails to where the wings are and engage them. Other ones, you have to fight a giant tank. There's other surprises they didn't want us to talk about. Well, I'll respect that because the mid-mission holy shit moments are pretty exciting because those happen too. But that's kind of that's kind of all the thematic aspects of Ace Combat 8 that I could pick up on.
Yeah, one thing that looks really appealing to me too is like I see obviously you're in like what looks like maybe an F-22 or something like that, and then I see an A-10 Warthog. So like I'm like, oh okay, so you can change ships or change jets, change weapons. Is that something that happens often where you get to like try out a new jet every single mission?
It depends, actually. For the first couple of missions, yes. So yeah, I'm super glad you brought that up. Yes, again, maybe similar to something like Armored Core. You pick your plane, you pick your special weapons, and you also do that for your wing. You pick their planes too. And you pick those planes from the roster of planes you've unlocked from this giant unlock grid using something called, military result points, or MRP. So whenever you beat a mission, you get a gob of points based on how much stuff you blew up and how effectively. And then yeah, you unlock part upgrades, like things that modify the performance of your ship, new special weapons, and new ships. So yeah, that's also part of the nerdery and the millwank of Ace Combat, is that kind of like, maybe something like Forza Horizon just has this ridiculous spread of cars. Ace Combat has a lot of planes, and you can kind of pick your favorite and take it out for a spin. And that's part of the aspect of sort of maximizing your performance on a level as well. You can try this one plane that has these stats and can hold these weapons, or you can try this other one with a different loadout. You can change your upgrade parts that like kind of fine tune how you perform. So yeah, that's a big aspect too of kind of scaling up to higher difficulties and trying to S rank every mission. And then there's also an online aspect. There's Ace Combat Online. I saw some references to that in the demo, but we didn't play any of it. But yeah, there's a whole online aspect to Ace Combat as well.
Yeah, that's maybe, now that I'm thinking about it more and more, that's the most exciting part of Ace Combat for me, is figuring out which jets are going to be the ones that I want to use over and over, and which weapons. Because that's Armored Core was extremely difficult, but I did love the fact that I could change the mech, change the weapons, try and figure out what was going to do the best in those missions. And this seems maybe a little easier, and like I won't, be kicking myself if I pick the wrong jet.
Yeah, you'll still be able to get the mission done. Whereas, yeah, in Ace Combat, you would get, in Armored Core, if you were in the wrong mech or had the wrong loadout, you were rinsed, and you knew it pretty quickly. There's a couple of gameplay aspects that help out with that. One is the wing, that you have 3 pilots that go up with you. You put them in the planes determine what special weapons they have, but you can give them very rudimentary commands to either cover your tail, disperse and attack, and you can toggle their special weapons on and off. So you can kind of wait until an opportune moment, or you can tell them to hold back if you want to kill everything yourself. But that's an interesting kind of aspect that makes running the missions a bit different, as well as how you command your wing. And one thing I noticed as well with this game is that the guns are super effective. So I think even if you like run out of missiles or use all your special weapons, maybe the gun is meant to now be the skill factor where you can land these skill shots well outside of what the game tells you the range of the gun is, provided you lead properly and have arc and everything. So I thought that was interesting too. It seems like those are the ways maybe that you can express a higher level of skill. Oh gosh, speaking of skill, so just sort of unrelated anecdote. But they had this fun event at the preview where we would all run this specific level for score. And then they made this like high scoreboard. Gamers, Inside Gamers, I'm excited to tell you that your brave team, me, got first in my round. The Ace of Aces, they called me, for about 20 minutes. Because then a god walked up, Ace Combat fan. I'm not sure who they are, but they put on a clinic. They were free, unguided bombs, Bruce. They would like pull up into a hard climb and then throw unguided bombs out, just like volley them over a mountain range, dive bomb on their side, just blowing everything up. It was poetry in motion. So I was treated to a little demonstration of ultra high level Ace Combat gameplay. Apparently that individual makes like PvP guides on YouTube. So they came with every tool they could have. But yeah, that was super fun to watch.
Well, congratulations, Lawrence. I was really excited. You sent this to me a few days ago, and I was very excited for you that you were the Ace of Aces, at least for those few minutes. I know that made you happy, and so therefore I was happy that you were happy and you were the Ace of Aces. But I didn't realize you then got your ass kicked immediately by somebody who was better. Well, I mean, it's the internet. That's what happens.
Yeah, so conclusively too. So I just wanted to put that out there. Ace Combat fan, you're my ace now. You're my Ace of Aces. So I'll remember our time together. But yeah, I guess full disclosure. Let's see here. Full disclosure.
What did they give you? Did you get a soda?
No, didn't get a soda. I did get a sparkling water. I got a LaCroix lemon. It was great. I ate a Kind bar off the snack table.
They
They did
pay
serve
for
dinner.
your Uber?
Yeah, and I had some
Oh.
Uber vouchers. So I ate a meal. It was really good. And then, yeah, I had some Uber vouchers. Oh, wait, no, I had a beer and a bourbon. So, yeah, I was living large.
Oh, wow.
It was
Okay.
Bruce,
This is
a
a
little
big
Ace
night.
Pilot wisdom. Nobody ever gets behind the stick without a little grease in the wheels. All right, a little fuel in the tank.
They call that liquid courage.
Yes, it was an enchanted evening. Thank you very much, Bandai Namco, for the invite to the event. It's just awesome, especially becoming such a recent but a very ardent fan of the series. Yeah, Ace Combat 8's coming to PC, Xbox, PlayStation October 1st. Looks like there's an early access edition if you want to throw more money at it. And I think if you pre-order, you get a copy of Ace Combat 0. That's an Ace Combat that has FMV in it. Real life actors doing weird interstitials. So that's a fun one too. And it's got a lot of flamenco guitar in the soundtrack. But yes, thank you again, Bandai, for the invite. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll see you up in the skies next time on Inside Games.